You're listening to Tales of the Forsaken, an actual play podcast by Noble Jester Productions.
So, we have been given this quest by Yndra to go to the island nation of Esmar and bring them more fully under her control. We are on a ship and we're traveling from Wardvin probably to Hard Rock. So, kind of making our way along the southern coast of Esmar. We stand on the deck of the ship watching the cold sea churn below the ship. The captain has assured us that things are only going to get colder as we reach the icy shores of Esmar. So, Kor looks over at Uli and starts to say something when everything happens all at once. The lookout on the ship cries out, "There's a marked approaching!" At the same time, a gunshot echoes across the sea. Moments later, an explosion below decks lifts us off of our feet. And Kor's last thoughts before his vision goes black as he hits the water is his worst fears have come true. We've been betrayed by one of our own. So I did want to make a couple of quick changes to my character. So between recording now and the last time when we actually created characters, I've actually put some time and thought about who my character is going to be. So I'm switching Shadow and Heart. So Heart's going to be a 2 and Shadow's going to be one of the 1s. And then I switched up my assets to be, I kept Herbalist and then I switched Archer for Duelist because a lot of the people kind of suggested in a Western setting for dual wielding pistols, to use Duelist instead of, it's supposed to be with, holding 2 swords. Mm-hmm. But I think it works just fine for pistols. Cool. And then I went ahead and instead of Shadow Walk, I took Honor Bound. I feel like this character is going to be non-magical. Okay. And Shadow Walk was one of the rituals. And so I think you were kind of going a little more towards rituals and stuff, and yeah. I feel like this character is going to make more sense being non-magical. So. Okay, cool. All right, that was it for me. You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to play this. I'm excited.
All right, so our ship was destroyed, and we, I'm assuming, wake up. This might be the first chance we have to ask the Oracle. I thought it might be a fun little thing just to see which one of us wakes up first.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I like it.
Essentially, when you ask the Oracle something, you basically pick, in this case it would be a 50-50. So we would say, all right, I'll be 1 through 49 and you'll be 50 through 100 or, mm-hmm. Whatever. And then we'll just roll.
Okay, cool.
So that's a 63, so you wake up first.
Okay.
That is essentially the gist of using the Oracle. There are also tables of things that you can roll on. If you need to figure out, okay, what happens in this situation, or, what's this location like, or, what's a complicating thing that happens right now. Mm-hmm. There are tables and stuff you can roll on, but the very basic nature of it is just that you pick a couple of different options, set them in a range, and roll for it.
That's cool. I like it.
So yeah, you wake up.
Okay. Are we waking up on a shore or coming to as I'm, tied to some wreckage in the water?
I think it probably makes sense that we're waking up on the shore.
Yeah. Wash ashore. Okay.
Yeah, probably, wreckage scattered all around. Mm-hmm. I would think that, on this map that we have, just based on how the ship probably would have traveled, mm-hmm. It's not going to be a super far journey. So I would think we're probably somewhere here on this, southern coast.
Mm-hmm. And we were far enough into the journey where it's an easy assumption that we're on this new land area.
Yeah, I think it was in sight when...
Okay, and what was the name of it again?
The island is called Esmar.
Esmar, that's right.
Oh, and I also should have mentioned, we also did make a mistake when we were creating our characters with bonds. We created a different bond track for each one of our bonds. And so I think you did 3, maybe 4, something like that.
Yeah, we had one for the Marked, I had one for the Great Heart Clan, and then one for the City of Hard Rock.
Okay, so we had 3.
Mm-hmm.
You actually are just supposed to, if you look on your main sheet, there's a section for bonds.
Oh, okay.
You're just supposed to make a mark for each bond that you make. So instead of having, a specific track for that, it's just going to be a single, tick for each bond.
Okay.
So like I will start with 2, you would start with 3.
Oh, okay. So that's like a general, like your bonds, and then this is the breakdown of those, the individuals.
This sheet is really more for just a worksheet because most of like the enemies we'll face or different quests and things we do will have a progress track, but the bonds don't actually have a progress track. We did that wrong.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just those titled, those are my bonds that I've created, so I have 3 of those.
Yeah. And the way that the progress tracks work, is essentially a asterisk.
Yep.
So each tick, would be one piece of that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So then 4 would fill in a box?
Correct.
Got it.
Yep.
So me progressing in this bonds track, what does that do? Is there any benefit as you have more bonds, or is there like a limitation?
Well, I think just having more bonds does point toward your character being more well-known and having a better reputation.
Okay.
There are probably moves that have you actually look at your bonds and, potentially have some kind of
some sort of effect to it.
Yeah, I think there's actually like a end your journey, kind of like finish your character, and I think you look at your bonds.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you write your epilogue, when you finish your character, you roll based on your bonds to see how successful your epilogue is. So
I just realized we're gonna have so much paper shuffling.
Yeah, we are.
Sorry, listeners, for all the paper shuffling.
We maybe should have used digital, but
yeah,
there's just something about paper.
I'm just having it in your hand. Same thing with dice,
Yeah.
Like, I much more enjoy the physical dice in my hand.
I do have my tablet set up, but I'm actually kind of enjoying not being tied to my computer like I normally am.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, you wake up and there is no GM, so
yeah,
just tell us what you're doing.
Cool. So first thing would be dazed and probably coughing up water, and I think first thing would just be checking over myself. Do I have any injuries as I'm waking up, and probably the adrenaline's wearing off. So is that something we need to check? I mean, is this game that harsh,
I would say we should probably start uninjured, but if you'd like to start injured, then we can, or at least check for it. We can.
I would say let's just do that. Why not?
Okay. You want to... there are... Let's see. There is like an endure harm move, if you're actually facing the possibility of physical damage. But maybe this is not the time for that. Maybe this would be just a face danger move.
Okay.
So we have, the danger of this shipwreck, and we can just roll to see what happens. So you would essentially, envision the threat, which is a shipwreck in this scenario, and how you would respond to the shipwreck, whether it would be, it kind of lists out the different stats and how you would respond with those, so speed, agility, or precision would be edge, charm, loyalty, or courage would be heart, aggressive action, forceful defense, strength, or endurance would be iron, which probably makes sense, at least in your case. And then you're going to roll. So the way that you would roll is you're going to roll your d6 and your 2 d10s. The d6 will add to your stat. And the d10s will be what you're rolling against.
Basically that challenge of that. Okay. Hey, that's a great first roll.
Okay.
So I rolled a 6 on my d6, so that's 9.
Okay.
And then a 7 and 2, so that would be a strong hit.
Yep.
Okay. So then I am just fine, and so that'd give me some momentum.
Yeah, so on a strong hit, you're successful, and you take +1 momentum.
Okay. And so that would be on... Do we have individual momentum tracks? Is that how that works?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. The only really stat that we share would be our supply.
Okay.
Which I think we had agreed last time to start at a 3 instead of a 5, just because we've just been shipwrecked.
Okay,
So,
cool. Yeah, so then, with my incredible strength, I survived that. I'm assuming because I did so well, I was probably helping you survive as well. So got knocked out, I woke up. So I'm going to rush over to you then and kind of shake you, try to wake you up.
Okay, so should I roll as well against face danger to see if I'm injured?
It feels right.
It does. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I feel like I need to roll with iron as well, because I feel like this is really more of an endurance thing.
Yeah.
And my iron's terrible, so almost certainly something bad's going to happen here.
You never know. But you're probably right.
All right, so I rolled a 3 on my d6, plus my iron is a 4, and then I rolled an 8 and a 3, so I got a weak hit.
Okay.
So I succeed, but face a troublesome cost. Either suffer 1 momentum, I get tired or hurt, dispirited or afraid, or we sacrifice resources. I think in this case, it makes the most sense to just endure harm, because it was a shipwreck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take some damage here, and my health is now down to a 4.
Wow, okay, that quick.
That quick. One of the things that I've read a lot about that people, like especially newer people to this rule set, face is they tend to jump to taking damage too quickly. A lot of the things where something bad happens, there are a lot of options for what you could have happen, including like losing supply or even just something narratively bad happening. And so the kind of the suggestion is be easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much. Don't just jump right away to taking damage. But in this case, I don't feel like there's really any other option.
Yeah.
So poor Core, he's now taken one damage.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, you shake me awake, and I kind of, I'm sure, cough up some seawater as well, and look around in a bit of a panic, and I'm checking myself, realizing I'm a little bit wounded, but more importantly, checking to see if I still have my pistols, which are important to me, and I would think that they would be essentially tied down, So yeah, they're still there, and I kind of breathe for a moment and look up at you. Ulis, what happened?
Sorry, I gotta get in the... gotta get back into this voice here. Oh man, your Core. We shipwrecked.
Yes, I remember. That was a marked.
Why would they do that?
I have heard rumors. I didn't want to believe them, that there were possible traitors amongst our brotherhood.
Oh, that's not good. I just don't understand why anybody want to turn away from Yndra.
I don't either. We are family. Why would you do that? Core's just very upset by that. Core feels very strongly about the kind of the family bond of the marked, and this is hitting him pretty hard.
Yeah, Uli would be feeling that as well, but I think he's kind of that survival mode still kicking in. So I think, checking over, he's got his weapons, so that gives him a little bit of comfort. I would think that we should try to, if we washed up on shore, maybe there's some supplies from the ship that might have washed up as well. So I think, he would ask and see if you look around.
And at least, looking for, if nothing else, looking to see if anyone else survived.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to lean towards no one else should survive. Okay. Because I feel like having, companions right now at the start of this, it would be a little weird.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I think probably nobody else survived, but we can kind of collect the supplies that are here and spend some time doing that. Cor would spend some time cleaning his pistols just to make sure that he's, equipped and ready to go. And then I assume, probably takes us a couple hours to collect stuff, but then coming back together.
Yeah, that makes sense with like us kind of thinking about what we would have for supplies off a shipwreck. So
yeah,
starting kind of what we described before.
Yeah. So I guess Cor would look over at you and say, I don't have a great reference point for where we are, but I suppose we need to continue on, and we can't let this stop us. If this is clearly this is an important mission, not just because Yndra has sent us on it, but someone wants to stop us.
I'm thinking that we could either go up the coast here this way or that way. There's bound to be a port city, and well, probably a better bet than just heading inland.
Yes, I have seen maps. I'm sure there are, I know there are some towns along the coast. Do you think we should fly, or should we try to keep a low profile?
I'm thinking a low profile might be a little bit safer, because, we don't know how long it's been since that mark came through here, and they could be searching for any survivors.
Yes, they could be here. Cor puts a hand on your shoulder. He says, I'm glad that you're here with me.
Yeah, Cor, I'm happy you and I made it. I think I'd rather have anybody else here.
I know that we should continue with Yndra's mission, but we also must make it a priority to find out what is going on and why another Marked would attack us.
Yeah, it's some pretty big information. I think getting that to Yndra would be important as well. Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
We definitely need to find out more before we mention anything to her. I would hate for an accident or a misunderstanding to sow chaos.
Yeah, and I'd much rather bring a solution than a problem,
Yes, Yndra has enough problems as it is.
She can handle it, though.
Well, that's kind of what we're for.
Of course.
All right, well, Cor kind of looks down both coastlines. Which way do you want to go?
Kind of pauses and takes a deep breath of the sea air and looks down to the left and then across over to his right. He just points to the right.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think because we are in unfamiliar terrain, we should go ahead and undertake a journey.
Okay.
So essentially the way this works is you envision where you're trying to get to and what the difficulty rank of that journey is. So troublesome is being the kind of the easiest, then dangerous, formidable, extreme, and epic. I'd probably say this is pretty unfamiliar terrain. We don't really know where we're going, so probably not troublesome, maybe dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think it would be any more challenging than that, so that works.
All right, so I can keep track of it here if you want.
Okay.
We are trying to find civilization, and that is dangerous. All right, so for each segment of the journey, we roll for wits, and this would be, I think one of us would roll, whoever kind of it makes sense in the situation.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to roll or if you want me to roll.
Yeah, I think with just my, heritage, not that I've lived here, and as an adult, but I think that would make sense for me to kind of just get a feeling.
Yeah.
So then I would roll with wits.
Yep.
Okay. And again, another 6.
There you go.
So an 8, which is higher than my 4 and 7, so that is a strong hit.
All right. So on a strong hit, you reach a waypoint and either mark progress or mark progress and take momentum but suffer a negative supply. So I would think probably want to keep our supply right now because it's already kind of low.
Now, just say we reach a waypoint.
Correct.
Which would be, so it is unknown to us.
Yeah, so let's use the oracle.
Okay.
I'm going to mark progress here. So 2 progress per waypoint. All right.
I really like that I've rolled twice and had like really successful rolls both times.
Yeah, this is a lot different.
Yeah.
All right, so probably one of these coastal waters locations makes sense.
Okay.
There's just kind of a general location oracle, or there's a specific coastal waters location.
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually in the waters, so maybe actually the just general location one makes more sense.
Okay. So 25.
25 says Fen.
Okay.
So we are kind of making our way more into marshes, which actually makes sense because the direction we're heading along the coast is toward the frozen marsh.
Okay.
Strange how that works.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of up to us if we want this waypoint to just be, okay, we're kind of making our way into marshes and let's roll again, or if we want to try to, put something more interesting there. I would say with that result, probably not really worth trying to add something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say roll again.
Okay. So then that would just be another roll towards the journey,
Yep.
the journey. Okay.
Yeah, another wits.
Okay. Not as good. That is just a weak hit.
Okay. So on weak hit, we reach a waypoint, mark progress, but we suffer a minus to supply. So our supply is now down to a 2. Do we want to roll again on that table and see if we find something a little more interesting?
Sure. 73.
73, that's a river.
Okay.
Let's spice this up a little bit. Roll again.
Okay.
I'm going to use the descriptions of the location and see if there's something interesting here.
53.
Abandoned. So, what are we going to find that's abandoned here?
Maybe it's like a fishing outpost or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've made our way through this. Listen to me, I kind of just naturally fall into narrating.
I know.
We make our way through the swamp and find a river, and you're leading. So how do you locate this abandoned fishing village?
Yeah, so we like kind of come up out of the marshes and reach this river, and kind of where we've been walking, where it's kind of this mix of the fresh water and salt water kind of in the area. And there's across the river, there's a couple like derelict buildings and a tiny little pier that's very worn out, and like nets, but none of them would be used. So that's what I'm picturing.
Okay. So yeah, we would. I'm assuming kind of stop and just be looking at it and trying to see if it looks like there's any signs of life, and it looks abandoned.
Exact way for a while too.
Are there dangers in these swamps that you're aware of? Do you know?
My parents wouldn't really tell me many scary stories from here. It was mostly more magical and enchanted type things. Who knows?
Well, perhaps we should just take a look around and see if we can find out what happened.
Should we maybe make camp here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we could use gather information maybe and see if there's, when we search, see if there's anything interesting that we find, and then depending on what we find, make camp.
Yeah, plus with you having lost health, trying to get you hopefully healed up would be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'm gonna roll to try to gather information and see if, just kind of looking around, see if there's anything that we find.
Okay.
I'm terrible at rolling, so that is a miss.
Oh, buddy.
So, on a miss, your investigation either unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth that undermines your quest. Pay the price.
Ooh, not great.
So, we need to come up with something that, complicates what we're doing.
Okay.
Which actually probably kind of makes sense with an abandoned village and that, and then...
Yeah, especially your conversation about, what dangers might be around here. We're about to find out.
And then pay the price. I'm gonna go ahead and roll on this table.
Okay.
You can just kind of make up your own, negative outcome, but I
Okay.
think we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That is a 79. Surprising development complicates your quest. Okay, well, we already knew that.
Mhm.
So that's okay. All right.
That's not too bad.
Well, what do you think?
Well, us facing some sort of dangerous creature here would definitely complicate the situation.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
This is a river and a fishing outpost. Something under the water, maybe, that has kind of made this its home.
Yeah. Maybe like a kind of big, like crocodile type creature.
Yeah. All right. So just to kind of make it a little more dramatic, I think, Core has looked around and just isn't really finding anything, helpful. But there's just a lot of damage and things, and kind of concerning. But like you said, this is old. So yeah, we set up to make camp. When are we just going to have it jump out at us, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'd picture, setting up a little bit back from the shore at some point, walking, up, where that fresh water is, not totally mixed with the salt, kind of leaning down, to fill a canteen, and then crocodile coming out at you.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Okay.
So we will kind of start the combat here. So the way that combat works, we both would roll to enter the fray, and then everything is kind of based off of having initiative.
Okay.
So when you have initiative, there are certain moves that you can do, and when you lose initiative, there are other moves that you can do because you can't do the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the enemies, it really doesn't matter what they are. All you do is kind of just like everything else, you set a rank for them, and then we're going to be rolling. So go ahead and set this up. We'll say a crocodile monster. And how should we rank this? Troublesome is just kind of a normal creature. Dangerous is obviously more dangerous. I think there's actually a description.
Like kind of how to rank them.
Yeah, so troublesome is common enemies, dangerous, capable fighters and deadly creatures, formidable, exceptional fighters and mighty creatures, extreme foes of overwhelming skill or power, and epic, legendary foes of mythic power.
Based on kind of our setup here of this abandoned fishing village, and what I'm picturing is kind of like the granddad, this thing has made this its home. Nothing else is around here, so formidable kind of feels... I mean, I don't want it to be formidable, but it's just like based on the setup, I think that might be the more accurate type of enemy.
Sure.
Do you agree?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
If an entire village of half giants had to move away, then yeah, it must be pretty formidable.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I am, down kind of trying to fill this canteen when this thing just explodes out of the water at me.